Are you ready? Are you ready to pot it up?
Let's go. Let's have fun. Peatcast it.
This is the Simply Youth Ministry Podcast with Doug Fields,
I think it's going to be a four-shoulder touch.
Matt McGill,
Nothing says loving like a muffin.
Josh Griffin,
The internet is a hotbed of activity.
and Jana Sardi.
Podcast.
The show starts now.
Yep. Hey, everybody. Doug Fields here. Podcast number 128. To my left, the famous, the wonderful, the
Rap star.
The king of all videos, the rock star in the
You
Brazil,
guys. Well, that was funny. They were super nice.
Jake Rudenbar. To my right, Matthew OK McGill.
Yep.
Missing from us is Josh Griffin.
On his
and
way to-
Jana Sardi.
on his
Josh
way to
is on the
Kenya.
way to Kenya.
Well, Jana's not really missing. She's gone.
Well, people don't know that yet. Because remember, he just said the live show wasn't
Posted.
posted. Jana passed away.
Oh, my.
No, let's say God. Here's the deal. Should we
was
start
like,
over
she
now
did?
that he's kind of ruined it?
I think we're good. I
Okay,
mean,
we're good.
for all the start overs.
Yeah, this isn't really
We've
required
only
to start
done-
over. We had our live show, everybody. We had our live show in Chicago just a few nights ago,
Yeah.
which was very fun. We had
Super
a
fun.
packed out room. Matt shows up in a Sopranos outfit,
It was great.
a velour jumpsuit.
It was great.
We had Jake on the computer doing the live show.
was one of the
we
most
had
fun things
Josh
ever.
and Jana.
Yep.
And we announced to the live show, which some of you are hearing it for the very first time, that Jana is off the show. She's off the podcast. She's been
Yep.
kicked off for
Language.
Language.
inappropriate behavior.
Yeah.
She touched Matt in a. no. Jana is moving to Seattle.
Wow, inappropriate.
Jana is moving to Seattle,
Do we need
and
to edit the show from that?
no, compared to stuff you've done.
Yeah. It's
Seriously.
intention. Doug's not dirty. You're dirty.
Whoa. That is not true.
So anyway, we had this live show. It was great. Jana's leaving us, and the whole time we were kind of being interviewed by somebody I asked to replace Jana, and this
Yes.
person said, "I don't know. I've never really watched your podcast. I've watched
Yeah.
like half of one."
Right.
And I said, "Well, why don't you go?" Because she was in Chicago. I said, "Why don't you go to the live show and pray about it?"
Yeah.
And she'd be great because she's natural chemistry with us. She's very experienced, probably has 15 years youth ministry experience, junior high specific. Really,
she
really
spent time
good
in high
with
school, too.
volunteers. Yeah, oh, she's unbelievable.
Yep.
And the whole time I'm thinking, because the live show kind of felt a little slow to me,
Yeah.
partly because it was live. I don't know.
Yeah, the live shows are always a little bit different.
Yeah, well, the
Because
live
it's
shows.
live.
We've done two.
Right.
Yeah, but so anyway, at the very end, we're showing the Matt McGill Sports instructional video
Classic.
on screen, and people were loving that. And then I texted her and I say, "Are you a yay or nay?" And something in the live show,
Maybe it was a video.
maybe it drew her to say yes to us. So she is part of our team, and so
And
replacing
her
Jana
name
will be
is?
the Queen, Katie Edwards.
Special.
Katie Edwards is the junior high pastor at Saddleback Church, and
Awesome.
she is a dear friend of ours, was in the youth group when I got to Saddleback in 92, and she is fabulous. She helped me write a book called Youth Leader Training on the Go. She's an expert in volunteers, junior high. She's very fun. She's
Yeah.
very cool. Would be great chemistry.
Much, much better than Jana.
I don't know about much better than Jan. I don't know if Jan.
I would have given it just one much.
Okay.
Much better. Not
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Jana for a long time, so I feel like I could say that.
I always liked, but Jana has a different. Katie's gonna bring a different something than Jana brought.
Yeah.
Like when here's the thing with Jana. When I wanted something like summarized and put a little bow on it with a Jesus emphasis, Jana.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
What does Matt bring when you think?
Yeah.
He brings a lot of pain to
Yes.
my life. Brings a lot of pain.
But it's
True.
like kind of that good pain, like
Yeah,
when you're working
actually-
out. and
Like a
muscles
deep
tear.
massage.
Here's what Joe
Yeah.
Thompson said. Joe said, "Since you're
Joe?
already in replacement mode,
Uh-huh.
I met the Mish at the SYM conference over the weekend and think that you guys should replace Matt with Mish.
Gosh.
She definitely has better taste in
Wow.
clothing."
That hurts.
That was
That
funny.
hurts deep.
What about a whole show just with your guys' spouses? That would be hilarious.
There was
would be
another.
funny.
Oh, here's another one. David Sparks says,
Ooh, new
listening
rules.
to 126 on my way to SYMC, and I really like Matt's suggestion that maybe he not be allowed to speak in the new place.
Oh, that was more of a joke than a suggestion.
Well, here's the deal. We really haven't even announced that we're in our new place. This is our first podcast in the new Simply Youth Ministry
If you're
office.
just listening to the audio, no clue.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter to
Looking at
you.
the audio?
But we have a new table. We have new chairs. The chairs were from Craigslist.
Hey,
Nice.
Chairs were from
Thank you,
Craigslist. We
Craig.
actually have kind of a fancy table that with fold down something.
Leaves.
We have nothing but the finest of a sign in the background. We're in our new place.
it's great.
And Matt has promised not to burp anymore.
And I didn't.
I know. But
It's
when
close.
you silent burp like that, it still makes my eyes water. This is from Chad Dillon, University Christian Church. He says, just got back from the conference, and I really appreciate everything you guys did. It was a great time of refreshing and learning. I really had a good time at the live podcast.
You did a good job covering the mic.
How was that?
We'll have to ask the
Sorry.
viewers how loud that was.
Yeah, I really had a good time at the live podcast, and Matt's velour tracksuit was
Yes.
the hit. I also
Look at
wanted
that.
to say thanks, and Matt, you did look different, but I don't think it was good or bad, just different.
Thank you.
Also, Josh, I wanted to meet you, but I didn't get the chance. I'm Preacher Man 23 on your live friends list.
Yes, Xbox.
Xbox Live.
Tell us the story about the live. You know, it hasn't been posted yet.
Right.
The episode 127. We just got back into town on Monday night.
Right.
I was sick on Tuesday.
Right.
Yep.
People took the day off, basically.
Right.
So the
Right.
live show, which is 127, will be posted when, Chris?
Probably this afternoon.
Probably this afternoon.
Okay. Yeah.
So what's the story with the velour suit? What were you thinking?
You know what? I have a love for all things that are awesome.
Okay.
And I knew that if I were to one night show up in small group, just Jake's in our small group.
Okay.
We invited you and Kathy. You guys didn't.
You
didn't-
were
yeah.
invited. I don't ever
You know what?
remember.
Doug just likes being invited.
And I just thought it would be so funny to have a velour jumpsuit and to show up to Bible study one night. Mostly, actually, I'll say this, 100% for Jake to laugh. Like,
Yeah.
And I was
Got me
willing to
good.
like throw
And-
down $50 or whatever it costs.
Right.
So I've actually been looking for one for like a year and a half.
Okay.
And so I was at the Big and Fat store
Okay.
and
Where exactly is the Big and Fat
It's-
store?
It's right next to
on-
Wiener Schnitzel.
That's right next to it's right next to hamburger joints. No, it's Foothill Ranch, or it's
That's the large city.
no,
Yeah.
no. It's off of Lake Forest.
That's
where
a large
whole
street.
that whole new shopping center by Payway.
El Toro.
Okay, that's El Toro Road.
And that's the city's
Right.
Lake Forest.
Okay, so
Right.
that's like a Big and Fat store. What do they
yeah,
call it?
Casual male, big and tall. I don't.
Okay,
I don't-
casual male,
Yeah.
which pretty much
I'm
describes
very,
you.
I'm very casual.
Check,
Yeah,
check, check.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
great.
see, when you walked in with that suit, I thought it was funny, very soprano-like.
Right.
But I also figured you got it at a thrift store.
Right. Nope. Brand new.
Really? What'd
Brand
you
new
pay for
Reebok.
that?
It was like $50 for both.
Really?
I still
that
don't-
seems kind of cheap for brand new.
Really.
I was going to say,
Even
I would have
though
thought it was
velour
more.
is like roaring into the 70s.
They had copies, two sets. They had a black one and that blue color. And I thought black might look like I was trying to be a little serious.
Too much,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, I wish they had like a deep maroon.
It was
or
just right,
something
dude.
else.
It was-
I mean,
It was good.
Just right.
It was
yeah,
good.
it was
Nice.
perfect. And I like it. I
But
actually like the way it feels.
Sometimes in those places, you get the no brand, which is nice. Why it's maybe not
I would have
as-
wished. Yeah, maybe it was more than $50.
I
mean,
would
you
have
know
wished.
me.
Oh, it wasn't. It was like Reebok or something you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it was more.
Yeah, it's
It
probably
was
like
more.
$250.
You can't
No,
get
no, I don't think it was $250.
The fact that you're saying you don't know
Yeah,
is what's
yeah.
funny
Well,
here.
here's the deal.
This is
I
where
had
it's
to
hard for
buy-
people to relate.
Yeah.
No, I had no.
That's the thing people don't understand because most people in the world have some sense of money and
Right.
value.
I
Like,
do have a sense of money
No,
and
you
value.
don't, Matt.
It's just
You
different
have no
than
idea.
yours.
No. You don't know. You don't know what things cost. You don't care what things cost. Even when you didn't make a penny, when you were an intern at like $100 a month,
Right.
you would order the biggest meal, more food. You're always out of money.
As long as I'm not in debt.
Well, not anymore.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't back then either.
No, you just don't really have a value of money.
I-
Plus, you're married to millions.
Damn it.
That's great.
That was
That's
awesome.
great. Okay. That is great. Look how red he is. Now you're embarrassed. Yeah, you're red. Definitely, isn't it?
I am thoroughly.
How great was that?
That was
that I got you.
That was the perfect get.
Easily
That
top
was the perfect get. Because
top
it's
10
not
moments
even
of my life.
true. It's just,
You just reeled that in.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Now we should start.
Chris, let's rewind
we gotta-
that.
No.
Hey, but this is a perfect transition to get to this question. This is from.
Well, I need to go on record by saying,
You apologize for saying the D word.
no, for saying damn it like that without trying to be funny.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the last time I said a word that I considered
It was last
inappropriate.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
No, without
Well,
self-control.
Our Nazarene viewership, we lost them all.
Well,
right
no,
there.
that's okay. I mean, I make mistakes all the time.
Here says, it's
was
from
so
Nate.
perfect.
He says, I did not get the privilege of fully enjoying the Simply Youth Ministry Conference, the fellowship, worship, etc., etc. I did enjoy watching the general sessions through Ustream. Now, we should pause and thank our good friend Chris Davis for making that possible. Here's the story behind it. Is we sold out of our Simply Youth Ministry Conference about a month before, and we thought, it's too bad that people can't show up. And then Chris says, why don't we stream some of it? And so we did.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of viewers. We had like 1,500 watching something, didn't we?
Yeah, Sunday night.
Sunday nights deal. And that was
1,500?
1,500 people watched Sunday night. That's, we had 2,500 people there. And here's the other thing, just for our team members that are regulars, just to let you know, if you do want to go to 2011, which is March 4th through the 7th, it is going to sell out way earlier. We
Totally.
did something which we're probably going to wind up paying for it because we gave we
Well,
did
it's
a pre.
not like you do the conferences and make all this money.
No,
I mean, it's
this
like
is
they've
the first
lost-
in 4 years. This is the first year that we
it's like
broke even. Yeah,
barely. I mean,
Yeah.
not that I know the numbers, but since
yeah.
I don't have the value of money.
yeah, that's exactly true, and so much so that it causes you to swear,
Oh gosh.
which is great. That will go down in
That is
history.
special.
Is yeah.
I have not
I
la-
like
I
one.
have
I
not
want
lacked-
Jana and Josh to watch this now.
Yeah, they're gonna.
I
need
have
to.
not lacked self-control like that in
It was
a long time.
it was great.
I must have hidden sin in my life. Or
So here's the deal. We said to the people that were at the conference, if
unbelievable.
you'd like to sign up for next year's conference, we gave them a pretty good deal for 24 hours only. We signed up 650 people. We were hoping for like 200,
Right.
and we thought 200 would be insanely awesome.
Right.
So we're
That's awesome.
fourth of the way sold out for next year, and we're not even 1 week past the conference.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so he says thank you for the Ustream stuff. He says a somewhat comical question yet legit. He
We'll
says my
determine
senior
that.
pastor has often made comments about my appearance. Matt.
Here we go. This is the Matt and Jake
Now
question.
let me set this up. I have one pair of designer.
Uh-oh.
Then he says pre-snared jeans. I don't know what pre-snared means.
Probably like the
That's
little
what
holes,
you
like
wear.
a little, like
You
a
wear
snare.
those.
Yeah, a little snaggle.
Please don't write on me.
I didn't. I have another pair that has a more brown designer look. I am not one that has to wear or drop name brand titles, but let's just say they're in style, at least more than his 1990 duck heads he wears 3 times a week and sweaters that now are nearly belly shorts.
Okay.
What's a belly shirt? Oh,
He just
I'm
tight.
guessing he's a big boy
like it
or
goes up
something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Does his lack of fashion trump others' ideas of fashion? I sure
What?
hope he's not watching. Something tells me he won't be. Humor me by this. It's not too serious, but actually an issue each and every review, period.
What does he say? That he's too stylish?
No, I'm guessing that he's... yeah, it's not real clear, but has made comments about my appearance.
So it's
Which,
good on both
positive
sides.
or negative?
Well, let's address both. Let's address caring too much about how you look and not caring enough about how you look, because they're both.
Okay, why don't you
Bad
care
sides of
not
you.
enough about what you look like? Because that would fit you. And Jake, why don't you talk about too much?
Well,
Awesome.
I mean, I've got the more biblical perspective.
Yeah, go
Okay.
for it.
Yeah, clothes only exist because of sin, and so why should we care about them? Done.
Because if you follow that logic trail, adultery only exists because of sin too.
Right.
Sin only exists because of
Sin
sin.
only exists. No, I mean,
All right. Here's what
They
I would
cover our
say.
shame.
Here's what I would say, Nate. There is a time that many times that I have had to talk to Matt about his clothes. There's been times where I've actually, Kathy and I have bought Matt clothing because even though you think it's really not that important, you are working with people who value an appearance, a look. This is a senior pastor. He maybe doesn't want, maybe it's embarrassing the way that you look. I don't know. But if it keeps coming up in your reviews, to me, you hear it once, you go, You hear it twice, you better start taking note. So my thing is, I'd pull him aside and say, Pastor, I've been thinking a little bit about this, and I can't tell if my designer jeans bother you, or I'm not sure I can read your subtleties. Yeah. Is there a way that you would like me to dress?
Yeah.
And see what he says. And I'm assuming it's a he because of the 1990 duck heads he wears 3 times a week, and the sweaters.
What's a duck head?
I have no idea. I was thinking Dockers.
Oh.
But I don't know. Chris, do you know what duck head
Duck
is?
heads? Anybody in the live?
Anybody in the live show know what duck head?
Probably would know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Riley.
Maybe there's those black and white shoes.
They're saying it's a name brand.
It's a name brand. Okay.
I think on the other end, to be one thing that in reading that is I would avoid the comparison, even if your senior pastor's coming from an angle where you feel he's out of line and saying it. At least hear what he's saying and take it away from. Avoid critiquing what he's wearing and take a look at yourself for a second and just pause. It's totally true that we know people in ministry who care a ton about how they look, and I think it's important for us in the role that we play in modeling to students that although we can care about in general how we look, it's very easy to pass over that line and become way too concerned. And so things like what type of car you drive and how much time you spend doing your hair or making sure your shirt is ironed and cool. It obviously depends on the situation, but it's good to be careful on both sides of that, I think.
It falls in the category of how many people do you want to influence, and the disputable matters in Romans 14 and 15 that people just, because people are different, people get offended by different things. Different things set them off. And so there was a speaker at Saddleback's not on staff, and sometime in the last 6 months that multiple people said, oh, he looks kind of sloppy, and that was just a response that a couple people had independently of one another. And is that make you less receptive to wanting to hear his message? I mean, maybe not. I mean, it probably does for some people. If 4 people said that, how many people thought that out in the crowd? And so to me, it's one of those things that, you're still living for an audience of 1. You can't live your life to please everybody around you. But at the same time, how do you reduce barriers and offend less people? I mean, offend is the wrong word. It's too strong because it's not like your sloppy clothes offend somebody. But when they don't want to take you seriously, that's the same vein.
That's good. It's good. I like it.
And Andy's in the live show.
Andy Brazelton's in the live show?
What?
Speaking of sloppy.
Brazel?
Andy.
Wow.
He looked very professional this
Maybe we
week.
should do a couple product plugs.
Yeah.
Well, we already have. If he's been listening, we plugged 2011. Not that we need to promote that because it's going to sell.
Live curriculum.
Yeah.
We do have the new Start to Finish Girls Ministry.
Oh, Start to Finish Girls Ministry.
I haven't even seen that yet. Congratulations.
We don't really have copies here anymore.
Okay.
Hey, you know what I was thinking? And I mentioned this to Chris. I haven't talked to you guys about it.
I'm ready.
I'm thinking since we're in our new digs with new table and new chairs and kind of a new era of podcasts with Katie coming on and maybe having Jake a little closer now that we've moved closer to him since the other place was obviously too far for him to get to at times, that maybe we go for some sponsors. What do you think?
I think it'd be great.
You think maybe Brazelton would
awesome.
let us promote the podcast a little bit if we had some
Brought
sponsors?
to you by...
Huh?
Brought to you by...
Yeah. Like it could be brought to you by Coke.
Could we have some sponsors
Pepsi?
that get us free stuff?
Well, Josh, I'm sure we could.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe your mother-in-law.
I would like a new car.
Oh, well, that's what I said. Your mother-in-law. Hey, was Brazel listening when Matt crossed the verbal line?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Here is a if you would like to sponsor our show.
If you'd like to pray for my soul.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Then you
should have started long ago.
Be on my prayer team then. It took me like 10 years of praying for you to actually wear a shirt that fit. So, here we go. Philip says, I think Matt is hilarious and should have his own television show.
Hey.
Matt thinks he's hilarious and should have his own kingdom.
That's not true.
I am currently a pastor with a wife, and I feel that it's time to move on, but have not said anything to our senior pastor or our students. What is the best way to let the students know? They have had 3 youth leaders within the past 6 years, and it took a good year before they even trusted us. One student even told us that they don't participate with the group because everyone always leaves. We've built a good leadership team under us, but I don't know if they'll be able to work with each other without someone acting as a mediator. So we could potentially see the group fall apart. How do we tell them, and what can be done to make sure the youth group doesn't fall apart when we leave? We feel like it's time to move on. Well, it's a very difficult question because it sounds like you already know the answer to this one. The answer is the group's not going to stay together. The volunteers aren't going to keep it together. It's going to be another disappointment in the series of this youth ministry. Man, I'm not saying it's not God's call for him, closing this door and opening up another door. It's going to be another series of disappointments in this youth ministry, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Based on what I read here, I would say to the senior pastor, I would let him or her know first, and then say, Pastor, how would you like us to tell the kids?
Yeah.
Because the truth is, you're going to be gone
Yeah.
as the youth worker, and that pastor is now in charge of putting the pieces together.
But to think through a little bit of a plan first to present to the senior pastor.
It would be great. But at this point, if you're ready to move on and you're the third one in 6 years,
Yeah.
and kids are already, it took them a year and I don't know how long, he doesn't say how long he was there.
Yeah.
But, it'd be not sure. If I'm the senior pastor, I'd appreciate hearing a plan. But at the end of the day, I got to figure out how do we not create chaos.
Yeah.
I think there is so all that to say, I don't know what you do at this point. This is a setup for failure in some ways.
Yeah.
I think for the rest of the people that are listening, you when you leave, the healthier that volunteer team can be.
Yeah.
Because some of those volunteers, I bet you there's some volunteers that have been there the past 6 years when they've had 3 youth leaders.
Right.
And to keep giving them more and more ownership, and maybe maybe there's something wrong within this church culture that's not able to keep youth workers.
Right.
I mean, we do know that some youth cultures are not great. What are you concerned about? The noise here?
Yeah.
Well, this is our new digs, so we're going to have some issues, I think.
Yeah. Just if you can be sensitive to those issues.
I'm trying.
Nice.
I'm trying to be. I'm not giving a lot of room here.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think I feel?
Well, that's kind of how you feel everywhere.
Yeah. Do we just trivialize this person's question?
No, I didn't. This is a tough one. I just think, I think it's
Yeah.
more of a learning for the rest of us. Going, okay, there is never a great time to leave. You're always going to create some pain and chaos when you leave.
Yeah.
Right. So that makes it a valid question, regardless of how long he's been there. I mean, let's say he's been there 15 years. How do you tell him that you're leaving?
Right.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't been there 15
It
years.
will
No,
be
I
the
know.
trend,
I'm
but
just
you're
saying. I'm saying that even a person who's been at a church for 15 years, and they move on, they have to tell their group.
Yeah.
Somehow, and so it is. It's tough. I mean, we don't want to say, "Hey, just go ahead and leave every time you feel like leaving." That's a different issue. The issue of how do you tell them? I think you can set them up with some ways to say, "Hey, they're not. You can't have all these expectations that the group's going to stay together, and if it doesn't stay together, that's the worst thing in the world." I mean, if God's calling you to move on, God's calling you to move on. You can't stay in a spot that just because you don't want to disappoint everybody else. So the decision to leave, you have to have strong convictions in that, and I think people have to hear those convictions. They don't have to hear your reasons, but they do need to know your convictions and understand, okay, I don't like this, but at least this guy and his wife are doing the right thing because this is what God's calling them to do.
Right.
I think you can give a challenge that says, hey, this ministry is not about me. It's the body of Christ is not about the person who's organizing it and running it. And you can really make a strong push and a strong encouragement to say, this is a chance for you to step up. This is a chance for you to engage. don't, when the next person comes, don't wait a year to re-engage again. I mean, I think that there are some things that you can say, and heck, I think you got them in your email here. I mean, that you can encourage the opposite of that, of what you know is going to happen.
What about assuming the senior pastor is okay with it and assuming the timeline worked out? Would you encourage or discourage them being involved with their predecessor, in as far as like if they could overlap a little bit and have time to say, hey, here's the new guy, love this guy, good fit.
Well, that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen very often. I think in a situation like this, it's a little bit sad as I hear it. You know, when I hear about 3 leaders in 6 years.
Right.
To me, I want to go to the senior pastor here and say, okay, let's step back.
Yeah.
And wonder, is there anything broken in our culture?
Right.
Because it could be the culture. It could be our search committee. Maybe we're not asking the right questions. Whatever it is. But man, you're gonna continue to pay for that, because now there's going to be one student even told us they don't participate. That 1 turns into 3. Right. That 1 year turns into 2 years of engaging.
Right.
We got a little track record here. So. Yeah, Phil, it's definitely not an easy one. I'd like to know more about that. I'd like to know why you feel like it's time to move on, because that would give us a little bit of insight into into the culture.
How to transition out.
Yeah. One of the things we didn't talk about earlier is, Chris, we haven't announced our Biggest Loser winners.
Not on the
Well,
not here.
we should push them to the other show. They have to watch the other show, don't you think?
Yeah, that's good. They have to watch the live show, because at the live show we announced the winners.
Yeah,
they had a big.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Somebody
The guy lost 51 pounds.
Yeah.
Why is that?
There's now no. You take away the suspense.
Yeah, but you don't know who it was.
Anybody who was really excited about it probably checked out the show.
That's true, Jake.
Thank you.
Hey, speaking of really excited about it, what kind of feedback did you get from your world premiere video?
Oh, pretty good. I think people liked it.
It was great.
I think people liked it.
I talked to this lady from Brazil.
Yeah.
That's what I was making a comment earlier. Did you hear about this?
No.
She brought some books up, and she had me sign her books, and then she says, "Can you tell me where Jake is?" And all the people around were like, "Where is Jake? Where is Jake? Can we meet Jake? Can we meet Jake?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm sure. He's probably. Let me. Did I call you even?
No, I maybe. I missed
the
it.
green room.
I was just off to the side.
He was being photographed by
hanging out with Toby Mac.
But they did say, in Brazil, Jake is a star.
Jake is a star.
He is a star, and if you would like to see the video that he did, is it on More Than Dodgeball?
Yes.
Jake. Whoa! How did it get posted up there?
Because you didn't come on strong enough.
Yeah, I know. We had already said.
Yeah.
It was a good bit.
Did you see, though, Griff?
He was getting upset. It was
Griff
great.
loves his blog. I mean,
it
is all about morethandodgeball.com, cha-ching.
He does.
I know, because I was just goofing. I wasn't going to give you any money for that. But Griff's face is turning red. You can tell he's like, he gets, like McGill, when McGill gets serious, he gets that lip thing going. Yeah, I don't know.
Griff.
I can't remember what Griff's is, but you can kind of see it on his face.
Yeah.
We also had a good bit on Griff because he talks about homeschooling. You know, how many times, when he says, "Oh yeah, I was homeschooled, but it was only for how long?" What does he say? A year. We meet his brother. His brother drives down from Wisconsin.
This is unbelievable.
So I ask him, I say, "How long was Josh homeschooled for?" He goes, "I don't know, 7, 8 years."
How unbelievable is that?
It was all the way up until high school.
Up until high school or through high school?
Why does he say 1 year?
I don't know.
He says that as a joke.
I don't
At
know.
this podcast, or at the weekend, or maybe it was last week, before you guys talked to his brother, he said, I thought it was 1 year. He's like, "Oh yeah, it is. I just say a year."
Yeah, I don't know. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
It's just a lie.
Which is why we wear clothes.
That's totally.
That's right.
Totally.
Hey, Ken Leslie.
Hey, Ken.
Says, simple question. How do I help my volunteers from avoiding burnout?
That is a great question. I don't know that it's simple.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think
it's simple.
You love, because because you hopefully you attract and you want people who are passionate and are fired up and are totally excited to serve in your ministry. I mean,
Yeah.
that's who you want. Not necessarily the extroverted. I mean, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
There are passionate introverts that are out there
Right.
that serve and are there and just bleed your ministry. You want that. Because the opposite
Right.
is a bunch of zombies that are chaperones standing in the back
But-
doing nothing. But you have to hold it in check.
And we have some practical things we build into our ministry. Things like we ask all of our small group leaders to take a break during the summer, and we intentionally give
Right.
them that time to back off. I think we try to be real intentional at meeting times. We've over the last few years really changed what volunteer meetings look like, and I think we put almost to a fault at times a lot of emphasis on them feeling appreciated, valued, that they would come, and
Yeah.
it's almost like a healing place when they meet. And I think the best area probably to do this is learning to just care for them one-on-one and see each
Yeah, so you have your finger on the
each one
pulse.
exactly. So knowing
Two fingers, maybe.
this lady who's been serving for 10 plus years, all she needs is like, can you get it in there, a little pulse? She might only need
Might have a
a
heart.
cup of coffee and a 2-second thank you, and she's good for 5 more years.
Yeah.
Whereas there's other guys that might need, more of a hang, talk, cry with them, love on them.
Yeah.
But
It also depends on kind of in our culture anyway, sometimes they're small group. Like
Yeah.
my wife's got she's got a large small group.
yeah,
But they're easier kids. They're juniors and seniors, and you know.
Yeah.
Now, if they were a lot of trouble kids or problem kids, and she's dealing with crisis every week, she might have a more difficult time. Did you just flex?
Look how strong that arm is.
You got a big arm. That's about the size of my calf right there.
Yeah. Quite
So
meaty.
here's some stuff I wrote up. Time off, which you mentioned.
Yep.
Community, giving
She
them
also
access to your
mentioned,
life. Yeah. Resourcing them.
Cool.
Making sure they're not.
Oh, so they don't spend a ton of time prepping?
Well,
Is that what you mean?
I mean that.
Get 'em
or
what they need.
taking them to a conference where they're encouraged a little bit. I can't tell you how many people this weekend at our conference said, like, I was so close to burnout. I just needed this to get away and be
Right.
refreshed. And so whether it be resourcing them at a conference or, I think sometimes volunteers are, they're always spending their own money on stuff, and you come alongside and maybe you give them a little bit out of your budget if you have a budget.
Right.
Jake, you said meetings, which I think is great. And I think there's seasons too. I think there's people that you go, like Julie Brock, who's
Totally.
been a volunteer with us for
greatest.
15 years,
Do you
just got married.
Yep. How awesome is that?
Yeah, on Valentine's Day.
Love
awesome.
Julie.
Actually, I thought she is the example of, the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah.
She's it. I mean, not anymore.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, she got married.
What?
Right.
But, yeah.
There's one that we kind of missed with this,
Okay.
is that we don't allow a volunteer to overcommit to too many things. And so
Yep.
they don't do weekends, small group, and every special event.
Well,
We
and men's ministry and
Right.
choir and,
Yeah,
we
and
want
all
to
those
find
other
out
things.
where they're involved.
Yeah, and so if you can kind of focus and reduce the amount of energy they're expending, that'll go longer.
Yeah.
Don't want to burn the candle at both ends.
Man, there was a wise person who once said that.
Yeah,
His
Jesus.
name? I was going to say you.
Oh,
But I think Jesus
You
did
said
say
that?
that.
That's your phrase? Don't
I
burn
made-
the
I
candle at
made
both
that
ends?
up.
Yeah, he made
Wow.
that up in our
Now on
small
the
group
spot.
one night when I was in high school. He told us. I'm making this up right now on the fly.
And Griffin was only homeschooled 1 year.
Yes.
This is from PT. He says, we have a few students who aren't connected in the youth ministry, and sometimes they show up to the college ministry while the youth ministry is going on.
Yep.
I view this as a problem, but our college age leader doesn't and allows them to come in. Allows them
you're
to
gonna
come
have an
in
interesting answer on this.
and join instead of pointing them to the youth ministry. I think it promotes selfishness and communicates the church is all about the student and what they want. What's your opinion on this, and what would you do about the situation?
Well, the first thing I'd say is how many junior hires how thoroughly is he checking on how many junior high kids before he points the finger? Because we have junior high kids
That's
who
good, Jake.
sneak
I didn't
in,
think that way at all.
sneak into our ministry all the time, and
Devious.
we know. Well, we just know that's there. For us, the 6th grade kids want to go check out junior high as soon as possible. The 8th
Yeah.
grade kid wants to check out high school as soon as possible. and juniors and seniors want to check out college ministry. Okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
why did you think I would have an interesting answer to that?
Because you talked about this sometime during the conference, either one-on-one with a person or on stage or something.
Yeah, I don't remember that. But
Really? Do you want me, it was fascinating. It was great.
well, great.
You
Tell
said-
me what I said then.
Well, I'll say two things. First, I'll give
Okay.
McGill's answer.
Okay.
The McGill answer, my
then you'll give the
personal
right
choice-
answer?
No, no, they're not. They're not
Synonymous.
incompatible.
Okay.
Is one, you got to look at your own art and making sure that you're just not feeling offended and you're angry because you're hurt because someone doesn't want to show up to your ministry. So
Yeah.
if that's there, you know, deal with it and recognize that. And
That's a
and
huge deal,
That's
too.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that right or wrong?
No, that's great.
Oh, cool. No, I'm just kidding. No, but what you were saying is that before your kids had grown up and gone through all the ministry, you really had this strong feeling that junior high, stay in junior high school, college. Because if a junior high kid creeps up, then how are you going to keep a junior high kid that's now been in the same ministry for 5 years? How are you going to keep them interested and keep them involved? And so let's try and create these lines and these boundaries, and when people cross, let's do something about it. But you had said, does this strike in any memory at all?
No, but go ahead. Keep
That as your kids got older,
I think it was me.
in the ministry. Really? No, you don't have older kids.
Sorry.
Is that and as you oversaw all three ministries,
Yeah.
as you were leading and oversaw all three ministries, you began to say, hey, you know what? I think it's okay if the lines blur a little bit. It's great that they're connected and that they're going to church. And if it was something that everybody was doing, maybe we'd address it then. But for it to be some people, that's probably okay.
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember having that conversation this weekend, and I remember almost everybody I met in every conversation.
Well, here's the deal, though, is that there has been many a time we have had arguments over what you have said. And
I
what you
know,
have
but
not
I mean
said.
that was like just days ago.
I know.
No,
It was
I don't
fascinating.
where did you see me saying that? Not that this matters or makes anything
No.
interesting in the podcast. It's
No,
just
Little standoff.
It might have been in the youth ministry of the future thing. Someone asked a question. It might have been in that session.
well, here's what I do remember saying. I do remember saying I feel like college is the new high school, but I don't feel like
And then you followed that up with saying, I don't think high school is the new junior high.
right.
I mean,
exactly.
you qualified that.
I do remember saying that.
But it was part of that answer, I think.
Yeah, well, interesting, because I don't remember that in that context. But I would say I can totally relate to PT.
Yep.
I
Right.
can totally
Absolutely.
relate to
Oh,
it,
yeah.
because when junior or senior high kids want to go to the college ministry as the high school pastor, I'm going like, oh, you knucklehead, you don't
Yeah.
need, come
Right.
on.
Totally.
Why don't you serve here?
Yeah,
Totally.
that type
Given
of
to
thing,
you.
and
Yeah.
and they feel kind of like I'm more spiritual than, or So I totally understand the frustration, but the truth is, if I have a choice between a kid missing out on youth ministry
Right.
or not being involved, I'd rather them jump
Yeah.
a couple years and be in the college ministry.
Correct.
What's interesting in the Fields family, though,
Yeah.
and I don't know what Kathy did right or what it was about youth ministry or whatever, but my kids, Tori, all the way through high school, involved to the very end.
Right.
Cody, senior in high school,
Right.
totally involved, not the senioritis thing.
Right.
I mean, he's got as much enthusiasm about going to church on the weekends as
Right.
my freshman daughter does.
Totally.
Which is
Great.
interesting to me.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, you guys were also, you didn't bring them around the high school ministry when they were younger. And
That's an interesting ministry kids deal. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously were around. I mean, I remember seeing them when I was in high school. So it's not like they
But
were
you kept some of the
banned,
stuff special.
But
for
yeah,
them.
you kept.
Yeah.
So.
I was thinking, make some minimal efforts in that. I feel like if there's some reach
Yeah.
out you could do to those kids. If you're talking about 3 kids, to go to them and say, "Hey, I love that you're connected. I love that you're growing. If there's anything I want you to know, that if there's anything we could do as a ministry for high schoolers to help you, would love to." But
Yeah.
then drop it at that.
And just know that some are not going to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, some kids want to feel like they're.
Of course.
And honestly, they're not ready for it, and
Right.
it's just out of their own weakness and
Yeah,
insecurity.
and some might be ready for it.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
it's not.
I think what you said, Jake, is good. Is the high school guys PT feeling the same way about junior high, and then
Yeah.
all 3 of those leaders just get together, have a
That's-
meal, and go, okay, what are we going to do when
Yep.
junior high kids sneak into high school. What are we going to do when high school kids go to college? And just be on the same team when it comes to that. But I understand your frustration, PT. I totally do. But I'd rather have kids involved and connected,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, maybe I heard you wrong.
Well, I think
the first time I've ever admitted that.
Of course
this
it would.
isn't being recorded.
Yeah. Well, just
There's other reasons for that.
to get you to admit that you were wrong at anything is awesome.
Yeah.
Look at all the emails.
There's a lot. There is one that was really, really sad. I mean, we've got a buddy who's been this week. We found out about his wife has a tumor, and then I got an email today from
on staff or youth worker?
on staff.
Oh,
but then
yeah,
I got
yeah,
one
yeah.
today from a youth worker who. He basically talks about why he hasn't been sending in his updates from his Biggest Loser contest. His name is Joe. Just add him and his wife to your prayer list. She went in with they found a mass on her right lung. She hadn't smoked a day in her life. But when they went in and did a ultrasound, and she's got stage 4 colon cancer that has moved into her lung. So incredibly challenging. Odd insurance being, dropped from different insurance companies. He's been in youth ministry full-time for 14 years.
Wow.
His wife is 43 years old. They've got 2 kids, teenagers, 13 and 11. It's got a lot of reasons to live. And Joe, it's just, those are team members who are listening. Add Joe and his family to your prayer list, because that is rough. One of the things that we were talking about right before the show, and we actually never really talk before the show, but what's that?
Sorry to interrupt. Someone's phone is
Yeah,
making noise.
Matt's phone is going crazy underneath.
How can you hear it?
It's just
Okay,
going crazy.
let me see, because Mish texted me. Can I at least look at that? I'll give it back to you.
No, I think we're almost done.
Just
We're
come on.
we're literally
Don't we
2
value
minutes
marriage and family and
in
wife
commitment.
first? Yeah.
Hey,
Come
while
on,
they're
you
talking,
know
I want to
you
let you know
read it- you
today's
know you
episode
read
is
your
brought to you
texts.
by the good folks at Coke. Diet Coke, when you're feeling a little heavy but still thirsty for soda. Coke.
All right. Hey, anyway, it is 2:00, and I got to go pick up Cassie.
You went for a super heavy turn there at the end. I was so excited to see what you were going to say.
I don't remember.
For the
Well,
phone.
Matt threw me off on.
It was really Chris,
threw me
technically.
off
Yeah, it
on
was the
that.
first-
Then Matt threw me off, and then because here's the deal to our team members who don't know this: if Matt has his phone, in this new world, what we should do, we should check our phones outside at the door.
Great.
And your ego.
Great. Can we maybe leave them with Debbie? So if
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
an
somebody
emergency.
calls,
Yeah, because there used to be a
My
day.
wife
in
goes
the-
into labor.
Yeah, Jake,
Yeah.
you're about that.
Could be, yeah.
So, what we were talking about is
Yeah.
we were talking beforehand about
Thank
some of
you.
the conversations at the conference. Some heavy stuff going on.
Totally.
Is that a lot of times we come into the podcast and we're just like, let's get to some youth ministry questions. But I got an email today from a youth worker who this youth worker is having an affair, and he was confessing this affair to me, and we've got people on our team that are listening with, their spouse has cancer and people losing their jobs, and there's some big stuff going on. It's more than just, how do I keep my volunteers from burnout? It's
Totally.
how do I stay in ministry?
when you
And,
said it's more than, I thought you were going to say it's more than dodgeball.
It is.
it is, Matt. It's more than dodgeball.
I miss you, Josh.
That's right. So Josh, when you get back, listen to the podcast
Right.
of Matt swearing.
Yep.
And just see how
Oh.
easy it is to get to, Jesus says, what comes
great
out of
is
your
it to have
mouth
it?
rests in
Yeah.
your heart.
Wow.
Is
And
that the new living? You love that. Yeah.
we got to go. I got to go pick up my daughter because my wife is in L.A. because my son did not make it to Africa today.
Well, Linda, if I know, had another mom who has a kid going on a trip, had an interesting thing. You photocopy those and give those to the church. The church should have looked at that.
That's what Jana said. But here's the deal. So here's the story.
I'm not in
Josh
charge of the
Griffin.
trip.
Josh takes 27 kids to Africa with
Right.
Katie, who's our new
Right.
podcast member as well.
Right.
I get a call early this morning. My son is not allowed to get on the plane because his passport expires in 4 months, and you're supposed to have 6 months. and another girl that happened to. She had like 5.5 months, and they still wouldn't let them on. So they had to go. They didn't get to leave with the trip. They had to go into L.A., get a new passport, and they leave tomorrow.
So if you were the youth leader, and that happened to 2 other kids, how bummed
Oh,
would you be?
believe me, I said to Katie, Katie, here you are as the youth pastor running this trip, and look
And
whose
one of the
family
parents,
is screwing you up is the Fields family.
One of the volunteers.
At the but the 2 kids are left behind, Cody and this other gal.
Right.
If you're going to mess with any families, these are the families to mess with because they're also a very cool and casual family. I'm just bummed for Cody that he's missing a day of the trip.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I'm bummed for Josh and Katie that they missed being here when Matt cussed.
You know what? But that's the
Is that
joy
really
of
fair
the
to have a
internet, because
sin
forever.
just on and recorded for everyone to see?
You know what?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
It's
Lord.
easy in hindsight to try
Yeah,
and think
and
about
actually,
these
some
things.
denominations that are listening, that's part of a
Yeah,
praise song.
some of them yelled amen as soon as they heard that.
So now you sound like my pastor.
They raised their
Now
beer
you
from
said
their
that.
office. And
All
said,
right, this was episode 128 in the new office in March of year 2010. We've been at this 4 years.
It doesn't get any more real than this podcast. does
4
it?
years.
Wow.
All right, sympodcast@gmail.com. Jake, I will miss you tomorrow
Yes.
because tomorrow
Oh,
Matt and
Yes.
I and 2 other buddies are getting in a motorhome, and we're driving from California to Arizona to go to spring training.
Oh, it hurts so
and
bad.
we
Nice.
don't.
For the
I mean,
Dodgers
you
or
don't
the
even know
Angels?
baseball.
I know, that's what hurts
are
the
we
worst.
going to Dodgers or Angels?
Angels.
Angels.
Yeah, you don't even know baseball.
I do too.
know
They got
baseball,
pitchers,
but
they got
you are a
balls,
true
strikes.
fan.
I'm a nerd, yeah.
Jake is a true
And
baseball
you like the
fan.
Angels for
I'm-
some
yeah.
reason.
Yeah, and
Dodgers
the fact
is much
that
better.
you're staying behind
It
to do
just-
high school ministry.
I tried to get him to go this morning too. but
I know. I've been telling him. Josh said he could go. Josh is gone.
I know.
But see, here's the deal. I'm gone. Josh is gone.
Yep.
You need to be there.
Totally.
You really should be there.
Yeah.
And my wife could go into labor at any point.
That's true.
Right,
So,
but
That's true.
That's actually mixed blessing though, because then you don't have to be around.
We got to end this. I got to go get Cassie.
Okay.
Bring it in.
Today's episode has been brought to you by the good folks at Diet Coke.
Diet Coke.
We don't bring it in. At
More
the
than
end.
dodgeball.com.
We do now.
We do now.
It's new.
The new thing.
Without
Okay.
Jana, we like to touch a whole lot more.